Hi, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time, my name is Lisa Galloway, and if you're a repeat watcher, thanks for coming back. Okay, so today I wanted to share a few tips on being able to give our eyes just a little bit more of a youthful look. Listen, I am so for aging, but aging beautifully. Like there's nothing wrong with that, you know? I really believe that we can go ahead and have a different approach, a softer approach. Less is more is such a true statement. So keep watching. If this is something that you feel like you're struggling with as far as your eyes, they just show your age just a bit. And although you are embracing your years, right? But you want a little help in this department as far as getting your eyes to have a much more youthful look to them. It is the first thing that people notice when they meet you. So if this sounds like some of interest to you, keep watching.
If you're here, then you woke up today. And that is a blessing. Don't take that for granted. Don't waste it.
Okay, let's get right to it. And I am going to pull the hair away because we are dealing with eyes today. So, I have another video that really just break this down a little bit more as far as one of the tips that I'm going to share. And at the end, I will tell you what it's called, and you can go back and watch this. But when I started thinking about 3 of the things that can really age our eyes more, listen, if we can knock off 5-10 years off the look of our face by just tweaking a few things, I'm in. So I hope that these tips are helpful to you. If you've tried them, share in the comments how you do the tips that I'm going to share with you. Like, what do you differently to it? I would love to hear. But I really believe that these 3 very simple things can really make a difference on our eyes looking just a bit younger. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into this. The first thing, and this is going to be a very controversial tip, and I don't know why it is, but it really, I guess, just depending on your preference. But in my opinion, I really believe this can really make a difference. And that is, ready? Drum roll. Eyeliner. Okay. I am so for an eyeliner that is so much softer. I try really, and I have changed that very black eyeliner in the bottom like of my eyes. It just shrinks your eye so much that it's one of the ways that it can definitely age you. I think that there's a place and a time for like a smoky eye. I'm not saying not to absolutely never do a darker eyeliner, but in your everyday makeup approach, keeping everything light-handed, softer, will open your eyes. And the way that I typically will use coloring, because I do believe that there should be some color to complete the eye look when you are doing like an eyeshadow look, clearly. So what I like to do is I like to take a color that whatever I'm using for like my base on my lid, which is usually my first color, is the color that I will bring down right under the eye. There's different names for it. I've heard it be called a halo, which makes sense, right? It's almost like this shadowy kind of color that makes it look just so complete and pretty. So whatever color I'm using, if I am going with a warm color, I clearly bring that down. If it's a cooler color, I bring that down. But I just want to, for my everyday look, keep the eye very soft. So I, again, just bring that with my brush and I complete that look. I'll show you how I do that when I give you my second tip. So that's the first one, is just kind of trying to stay away from a dark liner. I think you can even use a liner that may be like taupe or brown and just keep it lighter versus going straight for the black liner. Now, again, like I said before, I think using a black liner is really nice if you're going to use it on the top part of your eye. So what I mean by that is that if you take the liner and you put it like over or on top of your lash, and you want to use a black liner in that particular situation, then I think that's fine, because you want to maybe have a wing eyeliner, and you need to have the black liner on that top lash. So I think that in that particular situation, a black liner is fine. And you can even still take a darker, not necessarily black, but maybe a darker brown, and have that over on that top lash. So my whole thing on this first tip is just to keep your eyes softer, wider, and that will definitely give your eye a more youthful look. Okay, second one is the one that I believe many of us may struggle with, and that is a hooded eye. Okay, if you don't know what a hooded eye is, it's when the top part of the skin that sits on your brow is starting to just lay heavy on your lid. Now, some of us may have it, a lot more obvious than others. It can be also something that is hereditary. You may just have a hooded eye. It may not even be an age thing. But if you are aging, and this is something that's just happening within our age, everything is just shifting down, and that is going to cover most of your lid. And so when you are putting your eyeshadow makeup on, typically what we've always done, and I'm speaking of one from, a different era, from the 80s, right? So I used to just put my color on my lid and kind of stopped at the crease. That kind of worked at the time because I didn't have a hooded eye. Now, I do not have a very deep hooded eye. You can tell now that I have texture, which starts to then relax a little bit, like on my lid. And I've put it to the test that when I don't bring my shadow on top of my brow to open the eye again, and that's the whole purpose of having a much more like younger approach when it comes to your eyes. So let me go ahead and show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to take this first shade, and this is the one that I am going to put, that's going to be like the main color of my eye, because if I just want to even use one shade, and I say two because I usually have like a color that's on my brow bone to distinguish the eye or give it more of a defined look. But it is the main color that's on the lid. So one is that I believe the brush that you use is very important. You want a brush that, to get this first step done, that has some give to it, okay, that's not really tight, but that has a little give and has more of a fluff to it. This one that I'm using here is the eyeshadow brush. I love it very much. I use this brush all the time when I'm going to do my eye makeup. Anything that I'm probably using here today, for the most part, will be like in a link below that you can purchase if you're wanting to do that. So this was the eyeshadow brush. So what I'm taking the brush, and I am going to try to grab as much as I can on the brush. I usually just, remove a little bit of the excess that's there. And how you want to start, and this is what I believe really does help, is taking the brush like at an angle and placing it with your eyes open. I know this is going to sound weird, because if we're used to just shutting our eye or having it mostly shut because we're trying to get like the color on the lid, but All these small little techniques will help you get the shadow where you need it. So kind of tilting your head a little bit back, placing the brush to start off with right underneath the brow bone. And this is where I'm depositing most of the color to begin with. Once I get this color on my lid there first, and just having the brush kind of do all the work for you and getting it outside of that crease, what will happen is, and having your eyes open as well, is you'll be able to see clearly where you're placing that. And it is the first color that goes onto your lid. So you want to give that color definition. I kind of just swirl usually like the outside of the lid, and then I can go in and kind of just fill a little bit, fill in now the color on the lid, but I place that initial deposit right on underneath that brow bone. And I just continue to add the color as much as I want. This is a much lighter color. This one's called Claire. It's one of my favorite kind of warm colors, but not completely dark. But it does completely give my eyes a very clear look that there's coloring there, right? Choosing the right color depending on your skin tone makes a difference too, because sometimes if you're not using the right color, it's the color may be too light for your skin tone, you're not going to be able to see the actual line of where that color is on your brow bone. So again, you can go ahead and continue to add more of the color, but this will completely open up your eyes and have the illusion of your hooded eye not leaning in so much to and covering the color on your lid. If a piece of your lid is just showing, but you have that same color on your brow bone, it immediately opens up the eye. Does that make sense? Okay, so now speaking back and going back into the haloing, I just go ahead and use the other end of that brush to take that color and complete the look by giving me a very soft lining. And look how pretty that looks. There's coloring there, but it's not harsh. It keeps the eye open and wide and lifted. And that's the whole purpose of this one first shade, to take care of the hooded eye issue that you're having, okay? So again, this is a very easy, very quick tweak that you can do to have the eye look a little, just a smidge, you know, a younger smidge. Okay, so before I go into the last tip, the third tip, and complete the shadow color like on my brow bone, let's talk about the third thing that can definitely make a difference on our aging eyes, and that's our eyebrows. That shouldn't have been surprising, right? Listen, it's been said, our eyebrows is what frames our faces, right? It really can break that look on many levels. So let me start with something on a more serious note. There are many reasons why us ladies may be losing our brows. Listen, it could be something as serious as you've been sick, whatever that illness is, and you're losing your hair. We're already losing that as it is, right? We can see the lashes are fewer, are thinner, sparse brows, but maybe it may be even more of a brow that, or hairs that you don't have on your brow, and therefore you need to structure an actual brow for yourself. And again, I have a video where I kind of break down different ways to apply brows, whether you're waxing or whether you're taking a cream or a pencil and outlining that. And you can go and look at that video and just scroll down, you'll see it. It's got one eye really big. and it's talking about brows. So please go ahead and see that and let me know how, you know, that was helpful to you, and give it some love. But I just wanted to just tell you how I changed, because it continually changes. Sometimes we are working with our brows because they're doing one thing in a specific season in our lives, and then we're having to change that up. I have gone from kind of using my cream to outline my brow to give it more of a definition, to this approach that I'm doing now. And I have been doing this on the repeat for the last month or so. And again, you can find anything that I'm going to be talking about down below. So the importance of the brow, again, it's about framing the face, right? So if you have a problem where you do not have the brow, then you can pencil your shape in. That's just clearly like a no-brainer, right? But if you do have something to work with, and you have enough hair that you can use like a wax, which is what I'm doing, then having your brows kind of like stay in place doesn't necessarily have to be where the brow is lifted, and I talk about that too in my other video, but it's just that you want them to kind of just keep them tamed the way you want. Again, everything is changing as we're aging. You know, we may have our brows growing in different directions that you're like, where did that come from? So what I have been doing, and this is with Celesty, is I've been using their brow wax. I am loving this so much, and it's so easy. It comes with its own little spoolie, and what I do is I first take my spoolie and I will comb out the eyebrows. So I take a separate little comb or brush and either brush out to kind of get, and usually I do this even before I even have like my makeup done, but for the sake of just time, I will go ahead and just kind of brush out my brow, because it does sometimes get like dry underneath your skin. It may not, but this is kind of like my approach. And then I kind of change it around, and then I just start to brush or comb them out in the direction that I want to use this wax. Now, I have used other wax, and of course I'm always looking for something that I'm feeling like it's working better, and that's the case with this one. So again, this wax is with Celesty. I take the spoolie, and I don't use a lot. This is going to last me forever because I don't even take and brush the wax on the spoolie. I'm just kind of like just tapping into it and getting a little bit on the brush or the bristles. And then I am taking, and I'm going to use another mirror here for just my own visual, but I'll get close to the camera. And then I'm just taking the wax and I'm placing it on the brow hairs. And this is going to really help define your brows. I'm just gonna keep just at this one so that you can see the difference on the eye as I finish the eye. And you can see right from the beginning how the approach and the tips and the tweaks can really make a difference on not only a more youthful eye, but a more defined eye, right? So it all kind of works together. Your brows, your lashes, your makeup application for your eyes. So once I get enough of the wax on the hair, on my brow hair, then I go in with that spoolie, my other brush spoolie, and I brush them back. And however you want to do that, if you want to bring them higher, that's fine. Everybody has their own liking to that. Can you see that? So I brush them up And then I take my finger, or if you like and you have any other little tool where you can kind of press it up against your skin. The reason why I sometimes say to use like another tool versus maybe like your finger, our fingers have like, you know, natural oils, and the contact of the finger against the skin to my face will then separate the lash. I put this to the test. So I kept saying, wait a minute, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. So just taking any tool, anything that can help, instead of using your finger. And I think, again, this just is my approach because I have learned that that's the case for me. It may not be for you, but if you feel like you're using wax and it's not staying put like it says it's supposed to be, then try doing it this way and not using your finger after you apply the wax on your brow. So I let this dry down, and what I usually do with my particular brows, because as you can see, there's just only little pockets of places that I don't have like a hair, and I want to use a pencil, but very fine pencil, to have that look like a hair that's there. So not necessarily a thicker pencil, if that makes any sense. Let me show you the difference. Here I have a NYX eye pencil. And if you can see, let me see if I can get this close to you. You can see that this has like a very, it's pointy, okay, but it's more bald. So if you see and put this on your brows, you're going to and I'm lightly placing that, but same thing if you're trying to do like hair light strokes, okay, it's going to be much more darker and thicker and not give you the hair light strokes that you are trying to get to fill in those little pockets where you have the sparse. So this is great, I believe, if you're going to use it to outline your eyes. Love it for that, but not for hair light strokes. So let me show you the one that I do use to give that look that I'm looking for. And this one is much thinner, very pointy. You can see how it's going to even have a much lighter, look at that line, so fine, so thin. And the same thing is when you are just taking lightly and placing it in those specific areas, right? So here I go. Let me just take it lightly, fill in that spot that was there. And if I want it even up on top, and just in this areas, I don't go over where I have hair or it'll thicken it. And so all I want to do is just have areas of pockets where I don't have the hair, or extend a little bit of a tail on the brow. Okay, so again, this will lift the eye. If you're using a wax to brush the hair on your brows upwardly, it just gives the whole brow bone a lifted look, on top of the fact that you have now also your hooded eye with the coloring on your brow bone, okay? And three very, in my opinion, very, very easy techniques that you can have to give your eyes a little bit more of that youthful look. Now, let me finish now my brow and give you a close-up of how this looks on both eyes. I haven't done anything at all to my other eye, but let me finish off by putting a little bit of coloring on under this eye. This is the color Drift that I'm using. And I love to flip my brush. This also is another brush that I use. I use the eyeshadow brush, and this is called the multitasker. Love this brush. This brush is amazing because I have two. I use this one for my eyes, and then I use another one for my lips. And because it's cream, I don't like to double dip and, you know, contaminate both. So this can be used clearly. It's a multitasker for so many things. For blemishes, for your eye makeup, for lining your lips, so many things. So love this brush. But I flip it over because it's got a much more smaller end, and I take that same color of lighter color Drift, and I love to do like a very lighter color right in that tear duct, and it also helps to brighten the eye up. Okay, so let's take a look. Both eyes, right? And you can see clearly how much more lifted, and you're seeing my lid more because I'm bringing that color, that first color of eyeshadow onto the brow. And if I even add another color now for my lid, it will also help bring this look complete. So I'm taking clearly a darker color, and also lifting everything up. And I usually just take the other side to kind of blend that color in. But look how much more lifted my eye looks when you use techniques that will help give the illusion of what you're trying to achieve. Don't be afraid to use your hands, your fingers. Very subtle, very subtle. But look how pretty that is. Okay, I hope that these 3 tips on having a much more softer approach, less is more always, is like as you're doing your makeup, you're doing your eyeshadows, your less is so much more, everything more of a neutral will give yourself a softer look, which can definitely knock off a few ages off of you, right? Who doesn't want that? Okay, I hope this is helpful for you. Thanks so much for being here. Please leave comments if there's anything that you want me to even share further in depth. Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back next week for another topic on makeup and skincare. Love you so much. Bye.